Brian Griffin might seem like the wise and charming type. Heck, plenty of women have fallen for that furry facade. But peel back the layers of sophistication, and what do you find? A bona fide criminal mastermind hiding behind all that fluff. Yes, Brian's rap sheet is long enough to make even the most hardened felon blush. And today, we're diving headfirst into his most heinous offenses.
Later, Dink.
This first offense might not technically be a crime, but Brian absolutely deserves some time behind bars for this one. When Stewie starts lavishing a little too much attention on his beloved teddy bear, Brian loses it. The dog's jealousy boils over, and he absolutely loses his mind by chewing poor Rupert to shreds during a drunken rampage.
No! Rupert! Rupert!
To make things worse, Brian later confesses that he did it on purpose, because obviously, the only way to handle your insecurities is by destroying the one thing your friend loves most.
You know what? It wasn't an accident. I knew he wasn't a chew toy. I was sick of you talking to him all the time. I was sick of you complaining to him about me when I'm right there in the room. And I was sick of always playing second fiddle to that bear. He's not even real.
In a rare moment of redemption, Brian does help Stewie say goodbye to Rupert with a heartfelt send-off, and even replaces him with a new bear. But let's be honest, that's the bare minimum, pun intended, after literally murdering his best friend's stuffed soulmate. If this went to trial, I'm sure Brian would try to argue that it wasn't technically a crime because it was just a toy. But we all know the emotional damage he inflicted was enough to land him in bad friend jail for at least 1 year behind bars on charges of damaging someone's private property. Brian's reputation as a playboy is well known, but there was that one time his antics almost got him killed by a Navy SEAL. Brian hooks up with a woman named Tori, thinking he's struck gold, but Tori is married to a Navy SEAL. Instead of backing off, Brian pretends to be their new family dog so he can continue the affair.
Yeah, I rescued him from the pound.
Well, hey there, buddy. Wow, his nose is super wet. He must be healthy.
Everything goes smoothly until the SEAL gets suspicious and starts investigating. Brian ends up chained outside as a guard dog while the officer looks into things. Luckily, the SEAL never figures out Brian is the one causing trouble. Just when it seems like Brian is done for, Stewie steps in to help him out.
He's lost his mind. That's why I'm gonna go stay with my mother in Baltimore and work at her wife's bar.
Wait, what? Tori, come back! Damn it!
Wow, shocker. Your close hookup from the car wash ended poorly?
Stewie, thank God! How'd you find me?
Brian escapes a court date this time, but let's be honest. If the Navy SEAL ever finds out what really went down, Brian's looking at more than a slap on the wrist. Jail would probably seem like a vacation compared to what that guy would do. Run, Brian, run! Brian's interest in women has always been questionable, but this time he veered dangerously close to crossing a line. It all starts when Brian becomes fixated on Meg's friend Patty after catching a glimpse of her changing. What follows is an uncomfortable string of attempts to win her over, complete with shameless flirting and even managing to score a date.
You're going on a date with Patty? I told you to back off. And since when do you wear high tops?
What, my kicks? It's nothing. I just use these for Instagram.
Of course, it's not hard to guess Brian's intentions, and let's just say they aren't exactly wholesome. Thankfully, Meg steps in before things can go any further, leaving Brian stranded under the night sky.
Bummer. He's never gonna get to hit that.
I know. That's exactly what I wished for. Well, I actually wished for it 30,000 years ago.
If the law caught wind of this, Brian would be looking at a year behind bars and a hefty fine for his behavior. And honestly, that feels like a pretty fair punishment for stepping into such murky territory. This next crime takes things to a whole new level of messed up. Stewie, in his usual eccentric way, decides to solidify his bond with Brian by performing a blood ritual. Brian, for reasons we'll never understand, agrees. But when Stewie wakes up the next morning with a mysterious rash on his mouth, the bond is the least of his worries.
Ah! You son of a bitch! You gave me herpes!
Brian denies any wrongdoing, but Stewie isn't buying it. He finds the telltale rash hidden under Brian's fur and exposes him for the selfish act. Thanks to Brian, little herpes-ridden Stewie loses all his preschool friends and even has to show up at a wedding with the humiliating mark of shame.
You know, I've always been against destination weddings, but it's nice to finally see Denver.
Later, Chris reveals that he too has fallen victim to herpes. And it was none other than Brian the dog Griffin who gave it to him.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to let you know you're not alone.
Oh, yeah? How so?
Good Lord, you've got herpes too? This house is like backstage at a Whitesnake concert.
Not only that, but I also got it from Brian. We're blood brothers, too.
The fact remains, Brian knowingly put Stewie at risk. If this ever reached a courtroom, Brian could be looking at 1 to 5 years in prison for criminal transmission of an STD, along with a hefty fine. This next crime once again puts Stewie in the spotlight, and it's all thanks to Brian's negligence. When Brian discovers that Stewie is stuck in a shabby, unsafe daycare, he initially plans to confront the negligent teacher and set things right. But all of that righteous anger flies out the window the moment he sees how attractive she is. From then on, Brian couldn't care less about Stewie's well-being and spends the rest of the episode trying to charm his way into the teacher's good graces.
I thought you said you were going to talk to her.
I did, and she's doing her best, you know? She's got a lot on her plate. She's got school, she's got work.
This is her work.
Oh, hi, Brian. I thought you had a busy day at your legal practice.
The neglect reaches its peak when Stewie ends up with a dislocated shoulder, courtesy of the same teacher. Instead of stepping in to help or report her, Brian actively stops Stewie from speaking out, all so he can keep pursuing his selfish agenda.
Oh, you are not going anywhere. I finally have a date with Miss Emily tomorrow, and I'm not going to let you or anybody else get in my way until I have seen every inch of her naked. Do you even hear yourself? And what am I supposed to do about my arm?
I'll just pop it back in.
It's only after Brian discovers the teacher already has a boyfriend that he finally calls the police, proving he only takes the moral high ground when there's nothing left for him to gain. For his appalling behavior, Brian would be looking at 3 years in prison for child negligence, along with an extra 60 days for failing to report an ongoing crime. Add in some hefty fines, and it's a punishment he fully deserves. Money has a way of corrupting people, and Brian is no exception. After Brian and Stewie dip their paws into the stock market, the rush of quick profits starts to go to Brian's head. The duo splurge on extravagant outings, including an ocean excavation with James Cameron, until Stewie puts an end to it. But the real trouble begins when Brian introduces Stewie to a shady new investment involving protein shakes. The shakes are made from dogs. Yuck!
Something's going on here. I'm taking a look. What are you doing? It's just a protein shake, and it's the cheapest on the market.
Brian? I think I know why it's so cheap.
They're made of dog meat.
While Stewie is immediately horrified by the revelation, Brian's greed blinds him to the morality of the situation. He's ready to go all in, no matter the cost, as long as the money keeps rolling in.
This company's worth a fortune. What? You still want to invest in this? You can't be serious. Sorry, Stewie. Wall Street is a people-eat-dog world. Everyone knows that. Oh my God. Brian, you've turned into a monster.
Hey, that's offensive to the monster community.
Yeah, some of us are nice.
It's only after Brian finds himself caged like one of the animals he's profiting from that he finally has a change of heart. Thanks to Stewie's intervention, Brian is freed, but not before learning his lesson the hard way. For his willingness to profit from animal cruelty, Brian could face up to 5 years in prison under the Animal Cruelty Act, plus an additional 3 months for failing to report the crime. And honestly, given the gravity of the offense, it's a fate he wouldn't be able to buy his way out of. Next on the list is a truly disturbing moment when Brian crosses the line, not as a loyal pet, but as a lust-driven predator. After winning an essay contest, Brian is invited to a luxury hotel to claim his prize and decides to bring Peter and Lois along. What starts as a pleasant getaway takes a dark turn when Brian notices tension in Peter and Lois's relationship.
Peter, where the hell have you been?
Every time that we go to a hotel, you hide the key to the minibar from me. But I found it. Lois. Griffin.
Instead of staying out of it, he seizes the opportunity to get closer to Lois. At first, it seems harmless, but things quickly spiral when Brian loses control and tries to force himself on her.
Would you like some more champagne?
I'd love some. Ah, my head is swimming. Oh my God, Brian, no! No, stop it! What are you doing?
I can't help myself, Lois. I know you're married to Peter, but I love you and I can't stand it anymore.
Brian, no!
Thankfully, Lois manages to push him away before the situation can escalate further. While Brian expresses deep regret afterward, it doesn't erase the fact that he betrayed his best friend and ignored Lois's refusal. To make matters worse, this isn't the first time Brian has let his desires take over his judgment.
A whole evening with Lois. We are gonna have such a fun time.
Lois, my darling.
A couple of steaks, some wine, maybe a couple of sundaes.
Lois, my darling.
Little music, some candlelight.
Lois, my darling.
Although Peter gives Brian a well-deserved beating, it doesn't make up for what he attempted. For charges of attempted assault, Brian could face 5 to 15 years behind bars. And considering his history of inappropriate behavior, it wouldn't be surprising if that sentence leaned toward the higher end. Next on the list is another eyebrow-raising moment where Brian's love life ventures deep into cringe territory. Brian decides to shoot his shot with a blind woman who, unfortunately for him, happens to despise dogs. Rather than taking the hint and moving on, Brian starts a ridiculous charade, bending over backwards to hide his canine identity.
Ugh, our stupid neighbor's dog barks 24/7. God, I hate dogs.
During their dates, he pulls off outlandish stunts to impress her, each more absurd than the last. And for a moment, it seems like he might just pull it off. But of course, fate and her parents have other plans. When he meets the fully sighted folks, his cover crumbles faster than his dignity. Exposed as both a dog and a shameless liar, Brian takes rejection like any rational pooch would, by doubling down on the delusion.
I really care about you, and I really want this to work, and I'm so sorry I didn't tell you before. Can you ever forgive me?
He tries again, this time donning a fake voice and a new persona, because apparently his motto is, if at first you don't succeed, impersonate harder. For his efforts, Brian could easily score a decade behind bars for identity theft. And let's be honest, given his history of wild schemes and desperate antics, no one would be shocked if the judge decided to throw the book at him. Next, we have a moment where Brian might just be swapping his collar for an electric chair, or worse, a lethal injection. During a high-stakes rescue mission, Stewie hands Brian a gun and a silencer, giving him a chance to defend himself against a gang of kidnappers. At first, Brian hesitates, showing some semblance of restraint. But once he gets a feel for the trigger, he starts having way too much fun, treating the whole ordeal like he's in a Call of Duty lobby. After taking out a few thugs, Brian inexplicably turns his sights on a waiter minding his own business on a nearby boat.
Later, Dink.
The waiter's only fault? He was doing his job at the wrong shift. Brian's reckless actions could easily land him a 20-year stint in prison, facing charges of second-degree murder, manslaughter, and illegal possession of a firearm. Ah, Christmas, the season of joy, goodwill, and felonies? Leave it to Brian to turn the holiest time of year into a holiday horror show. On Stewie's insistence, the duo decides to head to the North Pole to meet Santa Claus. But when they find the big guy in a less than jolly state of complete exhaustion, they take it upon themselves to fill in as Santa's replacements. And if you've ever seen Family Guy, you already know that's a recipe for utter chaos. Their first stop is a disaster from the get-go. Instead of slipping down the chimney like the real Santa, they smash a window to break in. But their festive crime spree hits a snag when the homeowner catches them red-handed.
What are you doing in my house?
We're Santa Claus.
Yeah, you're Santa Claus. That's why you broke in through the window. I'm calling the cops.
No, I can explain. We...
Instead of retreating, Stewie opts for Plan B, knocking the guy out with a baseball bat. As if that's not bad enough, Stewie proceeds to cold-cock the man's wife and duct tape their young daughter to keep the family quiet.
All right, that's the last of the blood. Go check on the other kid.
What other kid?
Johnny, the one who's getting the bat.
Stewie, there's only one bedroom up here.
What? Do you have a brother? Well, then who the hell is John? Oh my God, we're in the wrong house.
Although Brian didn't initiate the violence, his assistance makes him just as guilty. As an accessory to the crime, he's looking at 5 to 20 years for home invasion, another 20 for assault, and an extra 5 years for impersonating Santa Claus. That's a lot of jail time wrapped up with a bow. At this point, Brian might want to stick to eggnog and carols because his criminal record is about to get as long as a holiday shopping list. Brian's next crime puts him in some serious legal trouble, and this one is far from forgivable. After Carter's eye surgery, Brian is reluctantly assigned to take care of him. At first, he's uninterested, but that changes quickly when he gets a taste of the good life. Luxurious helicopter rides, personal butler service, and gourmet meals that he'd usually only dream about.
Wow, so you could just bypass all that gridlock? Having a helicopter is amazing.
And that's not all. I also use it to throw boxes of frogs down on that church. They go bananas.
I could really get used to this rich guy stuff.
But all good things come to an end. When Carter's follow-up appointment reveals his eyes are fully healed, he boots Brian out of his lavish lifestyle without so much as a thank you.
Hey, buddy, looking good. So, what are we drinking? Or better yet, why aren't we drinking? Get the hell out of here! I told you I'm done with you. And besides, I'm off to the spa down at the club.
Unable to let go of his temporary VIP treatment, Brian convinces Stewie to help him sabotage Carter's recovery. They hatch a plan to blind Carter again, so Brian can swoop in and play the hero a second time.
Okay, I get it. No, you wouldn't want to help me. What was I thinking? He's your grandfather, even though he did say that thing about you.
What did he say about me?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I told you. He said you couldn't cut it as a member of One Direction.
What? But they have an opening! Zayn is gone! He does know Zayn is gone, right?
Oh, he definitely knows. Yeah, he thinks you could be in O-Town, but not One Direction.
Okay, I'm pretty sure you're manipulating me, but let's go blind that old bastard.
Of course, this plan spirals out of control spectacularly, leading to even more chaos than they anticipated.
Ah, my face!
Oh my God. What did I let money do to me?
Legally, Brian's actions are a disaster. For aggravated assault, he's looking at 5 to 10 years behind bars. Add another 3 years for inciting violence between Stewie and Carter, and Brian's luxurious life might be replaced with prison jumpsuits and cafeteria slop. It's safe to say that Brian and Quagmire were never meant for marriage. Two top-tier perverts whose crimes could never be fully repaid with mere punishment. In a misguided act of pity, Brian decides to marry Jess, who is supposedly on the verge of death from cancer with only 2 weeks to live. But during the ceremony, a doctor delivers the unexpected news: Jess has been cured. Instead of joy, Brian feels nothing but disappointment, realizing his short-term charity case has turned into a full-time commitment.
Brian, we really will be together forever. Forever and ever and ever.
To make matters worse, Jess develops a voracious appetite, eating everything in sight and quickly putting on weight. During one indulgent restaurant outing, she begins choking. Brian, confused at first, takes way too long to act. By the time he realizes what's happening, he delays calling for help so long that Jess actually dies. But in true bizarre fashion, Jess miraculously returns to life at her own funeral. Unfortunately for Brian, that doesn't erase his crime. For delaying aid to the point of near fatality, Brian could face charges of attempted murder, earning him a 5 to 10 year stay behind bars. When it comes to shady behavior, Brian has serious competition in Quagmire. But this time, even Quagmire falls victim to Brian's schemes, pushing Brian to the top of the worst character of all time list. After losing his teeth thanks to Peter's childish antics, Brian gets an unexpected lifeline when Quagmire, of all people, pays for his dental implants.
Look, listen, just take this.
What is this?
That's my dentist. He'll bill me. I've got an account.
You got an account with a dentist?
He sells me nitrous at wholesale. I bang his wife.
Armed with a dazzling new smile, Brian lands a cushy job as a real estate agent and decides to thank Quagmire by tricking him into buying horrible, rundown property, then avoiding him so that he can't get out of his contract.
What the hell? This is a dump!
Well, maybe it's still got a nice ocean view.
The harbor is poisoned. Damn it, Brian screwed me!
That's why I've never made any major investments with my dog.
Brian's betrayal here isn't just morally bankrupt, it's also a serious crime. In the real world, pulling off a stunt like this would land Brian a solid 15 years in prison for real estate fraud. This particular crime shows just how low he's willing to go when he doesn't get what he wants. While working at a hotline, Brian develops an interest in his attractive co-worker, Martha. after she rejects his initial advances, he resorts to Facebook stalking her to dig up more information. But instead of just snooping, a photo inspires him to engage in, let's say, inappropriate activities, right there at work.
That's her mom? Damn. I could work with this.
Unfortunately for Brian, Martha walks in and catches him in the act. Rather than face the consequences, Brian takes the despicable route of framing her for drug use to save his own skin. In a twist of irony, just as Martha inexplicably decides to give him another chance, she's arrested. Legally, his actions are a disaster. He could face 5 years in prison for invasion of privacy and another 15 years for framing someone in a fake drug case. All things considered, this dangerous dog has racked up a prison sentence exceeding 150 years. And that's before adding in the death sentences for some of his more horrific crimes. If you want to see just how deep the rest of the Family Guy characters are in legal trouble, make sure to subscribe for more jail time breakdowns. Until next time, stay out of trouble. Unlike Brian. Peace out.